Hi guys, in today's session I'm going to talk about constructors and OOPS ABAP. Okay, so what is a constructor and how many types of constructors are there in ABAP? So constructors, basically there are two types of constructors in ABAP. The first one is the class constructor and the second one is the constructor. Okay, class constructor is the static constructor which is getting called when the class is accessed for the first time. Okay, when the system accesses the class for the first time, class constructor is the constructor that gets called. And then you have the constructor. Okay, this is the constructor which gets called when you create an instance of the class. To make it more clear, let me get started. Okay, first I'll define a local class. Okay, with definition keyword. Okay, so this is my class named LCL_1. Okay, I'll create the implementation for the same. Okay, so here I'll try to give the public section. Okay, so that means this, whenever you try to access this contents of the public section, you can access it across the program. Okay, so let me call upon the class constructor first. Okay, so this is a method. Both the constructors, class constructor and constructor, are both methods. Okay, so let me declare constructor as well. Okay, so these are the two kinds of constructors we have in ABAP. Okay, the first one is class_constructor and the second one is constructor. Okay, class constructor is a static constructor. Okay, so which means if you check the syntax of this program, it is going to throw you error. Why? Why? Because you cannot declare a class constructor as an instance method. Here we have declared it as instance method because when we use the keyword methods, it becomes whatever methods we declare, it becomes an instance method. So if you check the syntax, you'll find that you can define a class constructor using class methods. The keyword has to be changed. It is a static method. So let me change the methods to class methods. So class constructor is a static method. That is proven. Okay, so let me check if I can have some importing parameters. Okay, type I. Let me declare and let me check the syntax. What do you see? You see that a class constructor may not have parameters or exceptions. We cannot declare parameters or exceptions with class constructor. Okay, but what is the difference? A constructor can have importing parameters. Okay, you can see it here, and exceptions as well. Okay, let me check the syntax here. Implementation missing. Okay, that I'll write it later, but this is syntactically correct. A class constructor cannot have parameters or exceptions, but constructor method, it's an instance method. Okay, so it can have importing parameter as well as exceptions. Okay, so let me declare this. So I need to create implementation for both class constructor and constructor as well. Okay, okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to write something like class constructor here. Okay, and here I'll write just constructor. Okay, so now I'm going to write the start of selection event under this. Only then the statements under that will be accessible. Okay, so let me have a data keyword. I'm going to create a reference for the class created above. That is for my LCL_1 class. I'm going to create an instance. So for that I need to declare the variable first. which is LO underscore 1. And with that, the next step to create an object would be create object, okay, LO underscore 1. Okay, let me check the syntax. Activate the program. And I'll keep a breakpoint at line number 31 to see what is happening. Okay, and I'll keep a breakpoint at right statements of both the constructors to see what's exactly happening. So this is a statement which is going to create the object for that LCL underscore 1 class, okay, with the reference of LO underscore 1. Okay, so the debugger has stopped in line number 31 now. Now when I press F5, as you can see, class constructor is the method or the static method that gets called first. Okay, the breakpoint has stopped here at line number 20. Now if I press F5 again, now you can see the second time when the object is created, this is the method that gets called. Okay, so class underscore constructor is the method that gets called when the class is accessed for the first time. Okay, and the constructor is the method, okay, that gets called when the object of the class is created. Okay, that's the first method that gets called. So let me execute this, and you can see class constructor and constructor here. Okay, now let me check for the other ways of accessing class constructor. Okay, now before this, I'll declare a class data, okay, with v1 type I. Okay, so I'm going to access that class attribute with my class reference. Okay, so this is the way we have to access the attribute inside the class. Okay, the static attribute. Static attribute is defined using the keyword class data. Okay, so if I want to access this variable, okay, if I want to set or get values for this variable, what I need to do is I need to call my local class LCL underscore 1 followed by equal to, then greater than symbol, and then you can access the variable like this. Let me set it to 20 value. Okay, and I'm going to put a breakpoint at line number 21 to see what's happening. Okay, and then I'll put a breakpoint here as well. Let me check the syntax again. Activate the program, put a breakpoint here. Okay, execute it. So as you can see here, the class constructor is a method that gets called before the class got accessed by this statement. Okay, before the statement, before this was said, the class constructor method got called. Okay, now you can see the value of v1, it is 0. Before setting the value to v1 of as 20, the local class LCL1 was accessed, and the constructor class underscore constructor was getting called. Now if I press F5 again, I can see it goes to that line, okay, wherein I have mentioned I have set the value to 20. Now press F5 again. Now you can see the value is set to 20 here. And for better view, I'll choose this top 3. Okay, you can see V1 is set to 20. Okay, F5, F8. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope the things are clear for you about a constructor in OOPS ABAP. Okay, any questions, let me know. Thank you.